So we're starting with the bottom, and the bottom has got lots of little chips and minor dings out of it, nothing major. So I've used this fine filler. You can only put a fine layer, and this is just to do all the tiny little chips like so, and I'll sand them down 600 wet and dry, and then I'll coat that with a little bit of white. Okay, starboard carve, and it's pretty bashed up. Got a pad on the front. We're going to lose that now so we can get a good repair, but you can see there's kind of cracks and dings and yeah. Okay, that's that off, but now I need to gently with a blade get the worst of the adhesive off. I've sanded this right off with 80 grit on the worst bits, and then 120 just where the marks are and over the board, and then just a 240 grit over the top of the rest of it. Now it's ready for fiberglass paste and filler. Okay, so the next stage that I've done is I'm using fiberglass paste. I don't feel the need to use fiberglass sheeting because I'm not bridging any gaps and it's not real structural issues. It just needs filling and a little bit of strength. We use this stuff. It's just like filler, but it's just fiberglass paste. Okay, so I started blocking it with 80. Wasn't quite enough, so I blocked it with 60 to get the shape. I didn't machine sand it because you just can't get the shape of the machine. You're just going to have to persevere and block it. So this is the first one. As you can see, all the pinholes and bits and bobs like that, but we've got the shape. So next stage is a fine coat of fiberglass paste. Okay, now I've applied the top layer of fiberglass paste, and it's very fine, as you can see. So this will be just a light sand before the next stage. Okay, so that's all rubbed down right through to 320 grit, masked up, wiped it over with some alcohol. Now I'm going to brush some primer on the nose area, let that dry overnight, rub it down a little bit, and then I'm going to put some white plastic primer over the areas that require it. Okay, that's the underside all rubbed down and coated with 3 coats of white. Okay, so that's the underside all dry. I've infilled those bits with the blue that I'm going to be using on the top. So before I turn it over to start flattening the top, I just need to get rid of this edge first of all. So I'm going to get some 240. I use these Abronets because they don't clog up as much, but you know, you can still use just normal discs or paper on a block, and just at a slight angle. Like so. And then just feel, you can feel it. Oh, carry on. Till it feels great. Take it round a little bit so you're kind of getting the underside. Once you're happy with that, you can take it down to say 320 just to get the 240 scratches out. Okay, so that's the board up the right way. And we're going to start flattening the primer down. What I've done is I've given it a guide coat, which is a must, which is just like matte black, just a light dust coat over the top. Let that dry, and then what that does is going to show up any imperfections. So when I start sanding like this, it's going to show up all the fine lines. So it means that we keep sanding until they disappear. Now you can dry sand or you can wet sand. I tend to use a bit of both. I'll start off with say some 320 dry on a block, and then I'll go wet with 600 on the block and then by hand, and then just to finish it off I'll use 800 wet. Now I'm not worried about if I go through the primer, because what I'm going to do is before we paint it I'm going to give it a light coat of spray white primer. This has got a better covering power than the paint, so it means that I've got less product on the board because I don't want to keep piling and piling product on. I'm trying to put stuff on then sand it down just to get it smooth. So by using the white smooth primer, it means we've got less product, less weight, less drying time. Right, so it's all sanded down. Finished with 800. Now, when we're down this far, now this is where the guide coat comes in, because it's going to show up any slight bits, like so. What we'll do is going to put some fine acrylic filler in. I'm literally just going to smear it in very, very slightly, just like that. To any of those little imperfections. Okay, I'm not worried about the top of the board too much. I finished that with 320. I'm going to get colour on it, but remember it's going to be textured, so you won't see any slight imperfections. As long as there's no holes in it, you know, it's sound and it's reasonably smooth, that will do. Okay, once we've done that, we'll remask. Any of this stuff that's been masked, the masking tape needs to be retaped, removed and retaped before we go ahead with any kind of paint. Okay, so this is the board all coloured up now. It's awesome colour. All I need to do now is fit some graphics, get some lacquer on it, and then once that's all dried, put the texture coat on the top. Okay, so that's all the base colour on, dried and scotched. The graphics are on and it's all cleaned again and ready for matte clear. Okay, so it's keyed up, masked up and ready for the texture coat, which we're going to be applying with a spray gun to get it nice and even. Okay, so that's the texture coat on. It's probably quite difficult to see it in the camera, but it's a smooth texture coat sprayed all over. It's clear. It's got a nice grip on it. So just going to get the temperature up in the workshop. Let it flash off for a half an hour. Then I'll unmask it, leave it overnight to dry. And that's the graphics on the underside of the board. That's it, all assembled and ready to go on the water. I'm really pleased with this one. Thanks for watching.